I wasn't supposed to feel anything. That was the first rule. Watch her, follow her, learn her habits. But never, ever get involved. It sounded simple when they hired me. Just another job. Easy money. No emotions. No attachments. But they didn't tell me about her smile. The way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was nervous. Or how she talked to strangers like she'd known them her whole life. I was supposed to report everything. Every move. Every call. Every secret. But somewhere between watching her from across the street and memorizing the way she laughed, I stopped being her observer and became the girl who couldn't look away. The worst part, she knew. She always knew I was there, watching. And instead of running, she let me fall for her. I still remember the first day I saw her. It wasn't dramatic. No music. No sudden realization. Just a normal morning. She was standing outside a small coffee shop, the kind most people walk past without noticing. Wearing a simple oversized sweater, her hair slightly messy like she didn't care how the world saw her. And yet, I couldn't stop looking. I had her file in my bag. Name. Age. Routine. Basic background. But none of it matched the girl standing in front of me. Because files don't tell you how someone feels. They don't tell you how someone pauses before opening a door, or how they look up at the sky like they're waiting for something. I wasn't supposed to think like that. This wasn't personal. It was just a job. 3 nights before that moment, I got the call. Private number. No name. Just a voice. Cold. Calm. Controlled. We need you to watch someone. I should have said no. I usually do. But then they mentioned the amount. Enough to fix everything in my life at that time. Enough to make me ignore the weird feeling in my chest. Details, I asked. There was a pause. Then. You don't need to know why. Just observe her. Report everything. Everything. That word stayed with me. They sent me her profile minutes later. Her name was Elena. 26. Lived alone. No criminal record. No obvious reason to be watched. Which made it worse. I've done jobs like this before. People cheating. Corporate spying. Missing persons. There's always a reason. Always something messy underneath. But Ellen, as she looked, clean. Too clean. And now I was standing across the street from her, pretending to scroll through my phone, while secretly memorizing everything. The way she held her coffee with both hands. The way she smiled at the barista. The way she seemed completely unaware that someone was watching her. That someone was me. The first few days were easy. Routine work. She woke up at 8:10 a.m. Left her apartment at 8:45. Stopped at the same coffee shop every morning. Ordered the same thing. Vanilla latte. Extra foam. I wrote everything down. Sent daily reports. Short. Clean. Professional. No emotions. Just facts. Day 3. Something changed. She didn't go to the coffee shop. Instead, she walked. No destination. Just walking. Slow. Thoughtful. Like she was trying to clear her mind. I followed at a distance. Careful. Precise. Invisible. Or at least, I thought I was. She stopped at a bookstore. Old place. Quiet. Almost empty. She walked in. I waited 10 seconds, then followed. Inside, she moved differently. Slower. Gentler. Her fingers brushed over the spines of books like they meant something to her. Like each one held a memory. And that's when it happened. She picked up a book. Turned slightly. And for a split second, our eyes met. My heart stopped. Not because I was scared of getting caught. I've been in worse situations. But because she didn't look confused. She didn't look surprised. She looked calm. Like she recognized me. I looked away immediately, played it off. Grabbed a random book. Pretended to read. But I could feel it. That strange tension in the air. Like something had shifted. After a few seconds, I glanced back. She was gone. I checked every aisle. Nothing. She had disappeared. That night, I wrote my report like usual. Routine slightly altered. Visited bookstore. No suspicious activity. I didn't mention the eye contact. I don't know why. Maybe because it didn't feel like part of the job. Day 5. Day 6. Day 7. I kept following her. Learning her patterns. Collecting details. But something wasn't right anymore. It started small. Tiny things. She began changing routes. Stopping randomly. Looking around, longer than usual. Once, she stood still for almost a full minute. Like she was waiting. For something. Or someone. And that's when the thought hit me for the first time. What if she knows I pushed it away? Paranoia is dangerous in this line of work. You start seeing patterns that aren't there. But still, the feeling didn't go away. Then came day 10. The moment everything started to fall apart. It was late evening. She was walking home. Same quiet street. Dim lights. Almost empty. Perfect conditions. I stayed behind her, keeping my distance. Careful as always. She reached her building. Stopped at the entrance. And then, she didn't go inside. Instead, she slowly turned around. And looked straight at me. This time, there was no mistake. Our eyes locked. And she smiled. Not a nervous smile. Not a confused one. A knowing smile. Soft. Intentional. Like she'd been waiting for this moment. My chest tightened. Every instinct in my body told me one thing: walk away. Now. But I couldn't move. Because in that moment, I realized something that changed everything. I wasn't the one in control anymore. She was. And somehow, without saying a single word, she had already pulled me into her world. I should have walked away. Any normal person would have. Any professional definitely would have. But I didn't. I just stood there, frozen, as she looked straight at me like I wasn't a stranger. Like I wasn't someone who had been secretly following her for days. Like I was expected. She tilted her head slightly. That same soft expression on her face. Not fear. Not confusion. Something worse. Recognition. Then she did something that completely broke every rule I had ever followed. She stepped toward me. One step. Slow. Careful. Deliberate. My heart started pounding. Not from fear, but from something I couldn't explain. Are you going to keep pretending? She said softly, or are you finally going to talk to me? My mind went blank. This wasn't supposed to happen. Targets don't confront you. They don't walk up to you like this. They don't sound calm. I think you have the wrong person, I replied quickly. Too quickly. She smiled again. Slightly wider this time. No, she said. I don't. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. I could feel it now. There was no escaping this moment. No clean way out. You've been following me for, what, 10 days now, she continued, casually. Coffee shop. Same corner. You pretend to check your phone every time I look your way. My stomach dropped. She noticed everything. I almost thought you'd never say hi, she added. This wasn't fear. This wasn't anger. She sounded amused. And somehow, that made it worse. I forced myself to stay calm. Look, I said quietly, you're misunderstanding. Vanilla latte, she cut me off. Extra foam. I stopped talking. You write things down, she continued. Small notebook. Black cover. You try to hide it, but you're not as subtle as you think. Every word hit harder than the last. Because she was right. About everything. And the bookstore, she added softly. That was my favorite part. That moment. The eye contact. She remembered it too. Why didn't you say anything, she asked. I didn't have an answer. Because the truth was, I didn't know anymore. Why hadn't I said anything? Why had I stayed? Why did I keep watching her? Even after I knew something was wrong, she took another step closer. Now there was barely any space between us. You're not very good at lying, she said, almost teasing. I'm not lying, I whispered. She leaned in slightly. Close enough that I could feel her presence, her warmth, the subtle scent of her perfume. Yes, she said quietly, you are. My pulse was racing now. Too fast. Too loud. I should have ended it right there. Walked away. Reported everything. But instead, I asked the one question I shouldn't have. Why haven't you reported me? She paused. Just for a second. Then she smiled again. But this time, it was different. Darker. Because, she said softly, I wanted to see how far you'd go. Something shifted inside me. That wasn't normal. Targets don't say things like that. Who hired you? She asked. I stayed silent. She studied my face. Carefully, like she was reading me. You don't even know, do you? She said. That hit deeper than anything else. Because she was right. I didn't know. And for the first time since this started, that scared me. She stepped back slightly, creating just enough distance to breathe again. You should stop, she said. Her tone changed. Softer now. Almost concerned. This doesn't end well for you. I frowned. What does that mean? She shook her head. Nothing you want to be part of. Then she turned. Walked toward her building again. And this time, she actually went inside. Leaving me standing there. Alone. Confused. But the worst part, I didn't feel relieved. I felt drawn back in. That night, I didn't write my report. Not right away. I just sat there, replaying everything in my head. Her voice. Her words. The way she looked at me like she already knew how this would end. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I was watching her anymore. It felt like she was the one watching me. I finally opened my laptop. Started typing. Subject aware of surveillance. I stopped. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. If I sent this, the job would end. They'd pull me out. Replace me. And I'd never see her again. The thought hit harder than it should have. Why did that bother me? This was just a job. So why did it feel like I was about to lose something? I never even had I closed the laptop. Didn't send the report. That was my first mistake. Or maybe, it was already too late. Because deep down, I knew something I didn't want to admit. I wasn't doing this job anymore. Not really. I was staying, for her. I didn't sleep that night. Not even for a second. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her. That smile. That look. Like she knew something I didn't. And the worst part, I wanted to see her again. Not because of the job. Not because I had to. But because I couldn't stop thinking about her. That was the moment I should have walked away. Deleted everything. Blocked the number. But I didn't. Instead, the next morning, I went back to the coffee shop. Same corner. Same position. Same view. Like nothing had changed. But everything had. I kept telling myself she wouldn't come. Not after last night. Not after confronting me like that. But at exactly 8:47 a.m., she appeared. Same oversized sweater. Same calm expression. Same control. She saw me immediately. Of course she did. And this time, she didn't pretend. She walked straight up to me. No hesitation. No distance. You're still here, she said. Not surprised. Not impressed. Just certain. I tried to stay calm. I could say the same about you. A small smile. You're not very creative under pressure. I exhaled slowly. Why are you talking to me? She stepped closer again. Close enough to break every boundary. Because you didn't leave, she said. That hit harder than it should have. She was right. I didn't leave. And I wanted to know why, she added. Silence. I didn't have a clean answer. So I gave her the truth. Or at least, part of it. I have a job to finish. She studied me. Carefully. Then she laughed. Soft. Almost disappointed. No, she said. That's not it. My jaw tightened. You don't know anything about me. She stepped even closer. Now there was barely space to breathe. I know enough, she whispered. My heart started racing again. Then tell me, I said. She tilted her head slightly. Like she was deciding something. Then she leaned in. Right next to my ear. You stayed, because you're curious, she whispered. A pause. And because you like watching me. My breath caught. She pulled back slowly. Watching my reaction. And for the first time, I couldn't hide it. She saw it. That tiny shift. That hesitation. And her smile changed. Victory. That's what it looked like. Relax, she said casually. I don't mind. That sentence, it did something to me. Because it wasn't fear. It wasn't anger. It was permission. And that made everything worse. Come on, she said suddenly. I frowned. What? Walk with me. Every instinct screamed no. But my feet, Didn't listen. I followed her. Just like that. No questions. No resistance. That was my second mistake. We walked in silence at first. Down the same street. Past the same buildings. But it felt different now. Because this time, I wasn't hiding. And she wasn't unaware. So, she said casually, do they know you're this bad at your job? I looked at her. I'm not bad at my job. She smirked. You got caught in less than a week. I let you see me, I replied. She stopped walking. Turned toward me. For a second, there was silence. Then she smiled again. That's a lie, she said softly. And I knew, she was right. We kept walking. Who hired you? She asked again. I stayed quiet. She sighed. Still pretending. I don't have that information, I said. That part was true. She glanced at me. And something in her expression shifted again. Less playful now. More serious. That's not good, she murmured. What isn't? I asked. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she kept walking. Slower now. Because that means. She said quietly, you're being used. That word hit differently. Used. I'm getting paid, I said. She shook her head. That's not the same thing. We stopped again. This time, right outside her building. Same place as last night. She turned to face me. Fully. You really don't know what you're in, do you? She asked. There was no teasing now. No games. Just, something real. And for the first time, I felt it clearly. Fear. What do you mean? I asked. She looked at me for a long moment. Like she was deciding how much to say. Then. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it. Her expression changed instantly. Tense. Focused. Go home, she said suddenly. What? Now? That's not an answer. They're watching you too. Everything inside me froze. What did you just say? She stepped closer one last time. This isn't just about me, she whispered. Then she turned. Walked inside. And disappeared again. Leaving me there, with one thought repeating in my head. They're watching you too. That night, my phone rang. Private number. The same one. I stared at it. For a long time. Then, I answered. Hello. Silence. Then that voice again. Cold. Calm. Controlled. Your reports have stopped. My grip tightened. I've been busy. A pause. Then. That's not acceptable. Something about the tone changed. Less patient now. More dangerous. Is she aware? The voice asked. I hesitated. Just for a second. But that was enough. She is, the voice said. My heart dropped. How do you? You're getting too close. Silence. Heavy. That was not part of the assignment. I swallowed. What is the assignment? Another pause. Longer this time. Then. You'll find out soon. The call ended. And just like that, everything changed. Because now, it wasn't just about watching her anymore. It felt like, I was being pulled into something much bigger. Something I didn't understand. Something I couldn't control. And the worst part, I still wanted to see her again. I didn't go home right away. I couldn't. My legs were moving, but my mind was stuck on one sentence. They're watching you too. It echoed in my head over and over again. At first, I tried to brush it off. Convince myself she was playing another game. Another mind trick. But deep down, I knew she wasn't lying. Because something did feel different. The streets I walked every day suddenly felt unfamiliar. Every passing car slowed my thoughts. Every stranger's glance lasted just a little too long. And for the first time since I started this job, I felt exposed. Not as the watcher, but as the one being watched. I reached my apartment. Locked the door. Checked the windows. Then checked them again. Paranoia maybe. Or maybe, it was instinct. I grabbed my laptop. Opened the file. Elena's profile. Everything I had collected so far. Daily routines. Patterns. Behavior. It all looked normal. Too normal. That word again. Too clean. No past relationships listed. No family connections. No real job history beyond vague freelance work. It didn't make sense. No one is that invisible. Unless, they're trying to be. My chest tightened. What if this wasn't about spying on her? What if she was the one hiding from something, or worse, what if I was sent to find her, not watch her? My phone buzzed suddenly. I froze. Unknown number. Not the same as before. Different. For a second, I didn't want to answer. But I did. Hello. Silence. Then. A different voice. Lower. Rougher. You've been asking the wrong questions. My grip tightened around the phone. Who is this? A soft chuckle. Someone who knows what happens next, if you don't walk away. My heart started pounding again. From what I asked. Another pause. Then. From her. The line went dead. I stood there. Frozen. Two voices now. Two warnings. Both telling me the same thing. Stay away from Elena. And somehow, that only made it worse. Because instead of pulling me back, it pushed me closer. I didn't sleep again that night. Instead, I made a decision. If I was going to stay in this, I needed answers. Real ones. Not the kind people give you. The kind you take. The next morning, I didn't go to the coffee shop. I went somewhere else. The bookstore. The place where everything first shifted. Where she first looked at me, like she already knew. I walked inside. Same quiet atmosphere. Same smell of old paper. Same stillness. But this time, I wasn't following her. I was waiting. Minutes passed. Then. The door opened. And there she was. Elena. She stopped when she saw me. Not surprised. Not confused. Just, calm. You're early today, she said softly. I stepped closer. We need to talk. She raised an eyebrow slightly. That sounds serious. It is. Silence stretched between us. Then she nodded. All right, she said. She walked deeper into the store. I followed. This time, not as a shadow. But as someone stepping directly into her world. We stopped near the back. Between tall shelves. Hidden from view. Ask, she said simply, no games. No teasing. Just, direct. Who are you? I asked. She smiled slightly. That's your question? Yes. She studied my face carefully. Then she stepped closer. Someone you shouldn't be watching, she said. That's not an answer. It's the only one that matters. I shook my head. No, I said firmly. You know something. About them. About why they hired me. Her expression changed. Not playful anymore. Serious. Dangerous. They didn't hire you to watch me, she said quietly. My stomach dropped. Then why? She hesitated. For the first time, she actually hesitated. Like she wasn't sure if she should say it. And that scared me more than anything else. Because she started slowly, you were easier to control. The words hit like a punch. What does that mean? I whispered. She looked at me. Deep. Intense. It means, she said, you weren't supposed to fall in love with me. My breath caught. Everything inside me went still. Love, no, I said quickly. That's not. Don't lie, she cut me off. Soft. But firm. You stopped sending reports, she continued. You stayed after I told you to leave. She stepped closer again. You look at me differently now. I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. Because she was right. And we both knew it. And that's the problem, she whispered. Why? I asked. Her eyes softened slightly. Because now, she said, they'll stop watching. A pause. My chest tightened. And they'll start acting. A cold wave ran through me. What are they going to do? I asked. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she reached for my hand. Warm. Gentle. And somehow, that made everything worse. By the time you understand it, she said softly, it'll already be too late. My heart was racing again. Not just from fear. But from her touch. From everything happening too fast. Then tell me now, I said. She looked at me for a long moment. Then slowly, she let go of my hand. They're not interested in me anymore, she said quietly. Silence. They're interested in you. Everything stopped. What? Her expression didn't change. You were never just the watcher, she said. My pulse pounded in my ears. Then what am I? She took a step back. Creating distance again. And with it, a cold emptiness. Bait, she said. The word echoed louder than anything else. And suddenly, everything made sense. The money. The mystery. The lack of information. It was never about her. It was about what would happen, when I got close to her. And now, I was exactly where they wanted me. Bait. The word didn't feel real. It just hung there between us. Heavy. Sharp. Impossible to ignore. I stared at her. Trying to process what she just said. That doesn't make sense, I whispered. She didn't respond immediately. Instead, she looked around the bookstore. Carefully. Checking. Listening. Like she was making sure we were still alone. That was the moment I realized something terrifying. She wasn't guessing. She knew. You need to leave, she said quietly. No. The answer came out before I could think. I'm not leaving until you tell me everything. Her jaw tightened slightly. This isn't a game anymore. It never was, I snapped. Silence. For a moment, we just looked at each other. Two people standing in the middle of something neither of us could fully control. Then she exhaled slowly. "Fine," she said. One word. But it changed everything. She stepped closer again. Lowered her voice. "They've been watching me for months," she said. My chest tightened. "Not like you," she added. "Not from across the street." A pause. Closer. A chill ran down my spine. "How close?" I asked. She held my gaze. "Inside my life." My stomach dropped. "What does that mean?" "It means," she said quietly, "people I've talked to, trusted, even worked with." Another pause. "Weren't real." That hit harder than anything so far. "You're saying they were planted?" I asked. She nodded. "Every time I tried to disappear, they found me." "Disappear? Why would you need to disappear?" I asked. She hesitated again. But this time, she didn't look away. "Because I took something from them." The air shifted instantly. "What did you take?" She didn't answer. Not directly. Instead, she said something else. "Something they can't afford to lose." That wasn't comforting. At all. "And you think I'm bait?" I asked. "I don't think," she said. "I know." My heart was pounding again. "They've tried to track me for months," she continued. "They couldn't get close." A pause. "So they changed strategy." I already knew where this was going. "They sent you," she said softly. Silence. "And the moment you got close to me." Her eyes locked onto mine. "They got exactly what they needed." A cold realization settled in my chest. Me. I was the opening. The weak point. "You said they're watching me now," I said. She nodded. "Yes." "How?" Another pause. Then. "Your phone," she said. I froze. "What?" "Your laptop. Your location. Your patterns. Everything. They're building a map of you," she continued. "And through you." A soft breath. "They'll find me." My mind started racing. "This doesn't make sense," I said. "Why not just grab you directly?" Her expression darkened. "Because they've tried." A beat. "And they failed." That told me everything I needed to know. Whoever they weren't normal. "And now?" I asked. Her voice dropped. "Now they won't fail again." Silence. Heavy. Crushing. "What happens if they find you?" I asked. She looked at me. And for the first time, there was fear in her eyes. "They won't just take it back," she said. A pause. "They'll erase everything connected to it." My chest tightened. "Everything?" She didn't answer. She didn't need to. I understood. That included me. "We need to move," she said suddenly. "What?" "Now." Her tone changed instantly. Urgent. Focused. "Why?" I asked. She glanced toward the front of the store. "They're here." My heart stopped. "What do you mean here?" But before she could answer, the front door opened. A man walked in. Nothing unusual at first glance. Normal clothes. Calm posture. But something about him felt wrong. He wasn't browsing. He wasn't looking at books. He was scanning. Slowly. Precisely. Looking for something. Or someone. "Elena." I whispered. I know, she said quietly. Her hand found mine again. This time, not gentle. Tight. Don't look at him, she said. Too late. Because the moment I glanced back, he stopped. And looked straight at me. Not at her. At me. My blood ran cold. He sees you, I whispered. Of course he does, she replied. Panic started creeping in. What do we do? She didn't hesitate. Follow me. And just like that, we ran. Not out the front, but deeper into the store. Past shelves. Past corners. Toward a back door I hadn't even noticed before. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it would explode. Who is he? I asked. She pushed the door open. Someone who doesn't miss. That was not reassuring. At all. We stepped outside into a narrow alley. Cold air hit my face. Reality crashing in. Move, she said. We started running again. Fast. No direction. Just away. Away from him. Away from them. Away from everything I thought this job was. And in that moment, one truth became impossible to ignore. This wasn't about spying anymore. This wasn't even about her. This was survival. And somehow, I was already too deep to escape. The door creaked open. Slowly. Carefully. A shadow fell across the threshold. I tensed immediately. Elena. I whispered. She didn't respond. She only stood, calm. The figure stepped into the light. It wasn't one man. It was two. One familiar face. One completely unexpected. I froze. The familiar one, the man from the bookstore earlier. The second, my colleague from the agency. The one I thought I could trust. My chest tightened. I didn't think you'd last this long, the man said casually. His voice sent chills down my spine. You. I stuttered, pointing at my colleague. He smirked. Surprised. I thought. You thought what? Elena said sharply, cutting me off. I looked at her. Her expression was unreadable. Calm, controlled. Why are they here? I asked. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked at the two men. A subtle tension passed between them. Then she said softly, they're not just watching us anymore. They're testing you. My head spun. Testing me? I echoed. Yes, she said. Testing your loyalty. Your choices. Your instincts. I shook my head. This is insane. It's reality, she corrected. I glanced at my colleague. The smirk on his face, I realized something terrifying. He had known all along. The mission. The danger. He wasn't just following orders. He was controlling the situation from the inside. And if I fail? I asked, my voice low. You don't, Elena said. Her eyes locked on mine. You survive. And you protect me. I swallowed. Then, my colleague stepped forward. I don't think you understand, he said. You were never part of the plan. You were the bait. My stomach dropped. I trusted you, I whispered. He laughed. Trust? That's irrelevant. Survival matters more. Elena's hand found mine again. Tight. Protective. Don't listen to him, she whispered. The other man, my former colleague, shook his head. Time's up, he said. Everything slowed. I could hear my heartbeat. My breathing. One choice. One moment. Trust her, or run. I made my decision. I stepped closer to Elena. No, I said firmly. Then we do this together, she replied. A sudden movement. The man lunged toward us. Elena reacted instantly. Swift. Precise. Deadly. He stumbled back, shocked by her speed. I realized something I hadn't before. She wasn't just running from danger. She was trained. And whatever she took, whatever they wanted, she had the skills to survive. I didn't. My mind raced. Stay close, she ordered. I nodded. And that's when I noticed the final betrayal. The second man, my colleague, wasn't aiming for me. He was aiming for her. Everything clicked. The mission. The testing. The stalking. I had walked straight into the trap. And now, he thought he could take her from me. I swallowed hard. I wasn't ready to lose her. And for the first time, I realized. This wasn't just survival. This was war. And we were in it together. Elena's hand gripped mine tighter. Her eyes burned into mine. Ready, she whispered. I nodded. There was no turning back. Because the moment I said yes, everything changed. And nothing would ever be the same. The alley felt smaller now. No escape. Only the three of us. Elena, me, and my former colleague. The man's eyes flicked between us. You think you can stop this? He sneered. Elena didn't respond. She only moved closer to me. Protective. Defiant. I realized then. I was relying on her. Not just for her survival. But for everything. You should have stayed away, he hissed. I gritted my teeth. Too late for that, I said. A sudden movement. He lunged at Elena. I reacted instinctively. I grabbed his arm. Struggle. Push. Pull. But he was strong. And trained. Elena's hand shot out, precise, striking him squarely in the chest. He staggered back. Pain. Shock. Confusion. Now! She shouted. We ran. Deeper into the side streets. No plan. No strategy. Just survival. I glanced at her. Her eyes were fire. Determined. Alive. I felt something I hadn't admitted before. Fear, yes. But also, admiration. Trust. And maybe, love. We found a safe house. Abandoned. Bare. She locked the door. Finally. Silence. We sank to the floor. Breathing heavy. Hearts pounding. You okay? She asked softly. I nodded, exhausted. You saved me, I said. She shook her head. We saved each other, she corrected. A pause. Then, she looked at me. Serious. Vulnerable. I need to tell you everything, she said. My heart skipped. Everything I asked. She nodded. It's time you know who I really am. I leaned closer, bracing for the truth. Her voice dropped. I wasn't just hiding from them. I stole something they can never forgive. My pulse raced. What? I asked. She hesitated, then whispered, the data, it's bigger than anything you've imagined. They want it. And they'll stop at nothing. My stomach dropped. Why involve me? I asked. She looked straight into my eyes. Because I had to trust someone. Someone who could choose me, over fear. I realized then, it wasn't just about survival. It was about us. And for the first time, I knew I wouldn't let anything tear us apart. Suddenly, the window shattered. Lights flashed outside. Shadows fell over the walls. They found us, she said calmly. My heart stopped. But she only smiled faintly. Ready? She asked. I nodded. And together, we faced them. No fear. No hesitation. Because whatever happened next, we were together. And that made all the difference. The night exploded into chaos. Shouts. Footsteps. Collisions. I held her hand tighter than ever. We ran. Fought. Survived. When the dust settled, the enemy was gone. The street was empty. We were alive. Breathing. Shaking. Looking at each other. And then, she leaned closer. Whispered softly, we made it. I nodded. I know, I replied. Silence filled the moment. Peace. Relief. But underneath it all, a question lingered. What comes next? Because in our world, survival is temporary. Trust is rare. And love is dangerous. She smiled faintly. Then we start over, she said. I took a deep breath. And for the first time, I believed her. Together, we stepped into the unknown. No promises. No guarantees. Only each other. And that was enough. The end.